But the 9/11 attacks became one of the most photographed events in history. The horrific images of that day really have been seared into our subconscious, even 10 years later. But I want to show you one image in particular that stirred a lot of controversies. Right next to me, Thomas Hopka took this photo of 5 young people in Brooklyn witnessing the disaster from across the East River. So what do you think of this image? What does it say? Because when the picture was first published 5 years later, some viewers described the people in it as callous and unmoved. 10 years later, we're still talking about this, so let's bring in the man behind the camera. Thomas Hopka joins me live from CNN New York. Thomas, first just set the record straight. What did lead up to that moment, and why wasn't that picture published for 5 years?
Well, the history is that I was in New York in my apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And when the news broke and I watched it on TV, first I was totally stunned. I was paralyzed. I didn't know what to do. And finally, I understood what was happening. And then at that time, I had no way to get to the scene. You know, I'm a news photographer, but I had already been retired for quite a while. But in any case, I wanted to go there. The subway wasn't running, and I had to take my car out, and I tried to go. And if you know New York, I crossed over one of the bridges into Queens and Brooklyn and drove down to the south. And then I saw that horrible plume of smoke on the horizon. And I took some pictures, and while I was doing this, I stopped at a little park on the waterside, pretty much under the Brooklyn Bridge, and I had a clear view of the big smoke coming out from the site of 9/11 of the World Trade Centers. And there were 5 people sitting there, and I was simply snapping a picture in a way, in a daze. I didn't think all that much, but I saw that this was a kind of a weird moment because they looked very peaceful. They looked in my direction, and they had turned their backs to the disaster.
Now, when this was released, I just want to add that when this was released in 2006, it was passed along in the New York Times. Someone saw that picture and said, hey, that's me. I just want to show you what one person said in the form of an email to Slate magazine when this debate was kicking off. Walter Sipser, he's the man on the far right of the image, and he says, we were in a profound state of shock and disbelief. Thomas didn't ask permission to photograph us, nor did he make any attempt to ascertain our state of mind. And the woman next to Sipser, let's see, a native New Yorker, Chris Shivo, she said, it was genetically impossible for me to be unaffected by this event. What do you make of those comments?
Well, I'm totally sure this is what happened to these people. It was just that when I took the picture, they looked the other way. They looked in my direction. And I'm absolutely sure that they had seen what was happening behind them, because there were some magazines later who published a picture and said the people in the image have no idea what's happening behind them. That is baloney, of course. You know, of course they didn't know. This was something you couldn't ignore. But it was a moment, and photography is about split seconds where they were turning the other way. And
it wasn't the... I just want to add that it wasn't the only picture you took that day, of course.
Yeah.
Talk to me about some of the other images you captured.
Well, I came, when I was driving, I saw that smoke coming out from Brooklyn, and I took one picture across a cemetery in Queens. Then I came to another spot. There were some Orthodox Jews gathering and looking at Manhattan. And I took another picture from the bridges and scenes and the panoramas. And this was one stop, one very short stop. I clicked 3 times. But what happened when I got home, I had access to the Magnum pictures. I'm in the Magnum photo agency. And my friends, we actually had 12 photographers out there. They had taken so dramatic photographs of the actual scene, and they had gotten very close, which I never did. So I put these 3 images into what I call the B box. I have an A edit and I have a B edit. And Because I felt they were not up to what my friends had done. I was stunned by what they had done, and I didn't do the right thing. I was not there where I wanted to be. So the picture stayed in that B box for 4 years. And then...
Is it?
Yeah.
Thomas, I was just wondering if, with the passage of time, do you feel differently about any of those images now than you did when you took them?
Well, I do. I find and understand it, because so many people got excited by this and were wondering about what was happening, that I understand that the picture has a value, because I think it's, for me, it's a symbol of paradise lost. These people look, I didn't go into their heads, as if they were just enjoying a pleasant afternoon and the sunshine. Another point is they asked, why did I not ask their permission? And I must say, had I done that, the picture would have been a lie. Because I am a reporter, I'm not an art photographer. I do not stage pictures. I just snap pictures from the moment of truth of what is going on around me. And had I asked them, they had probably said, get lost, or we don't want you, or they had looked into the camera and it would have been a lie.
That's a very interesting point. Thomas Höpke there from New York, showing us some of his images from September 11th, 2001. I think you said it best there, Paradise Lost. We appreciate you sharing those pictures with us and giving us your insight as well. Thank you.